Hi, I'm Greg Lassiter. Welcome to The Point with yours truly. Today, I have an amazing guest. He's an author, and the subject we're going to talk about is what the United States, as well as New York, needs to be speaking on, and we need to come up with some solutions. His name is Alfonso Seville. Welcome to The Point.
How are you doing? Thank you.
So listen, you just wrote a book about being homeless.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how this all came about. You were in the homeless shelter system for 11 years.
11 years straight.
Oh yeah, give us some background. Give us some backstory.
Well, I was in a car accident in 2005. What left me with permanent neck and back damage. 2008, I was forced to stop working because of that car accident. And 2008, I had to get Social Security. 2009, I was awarded Social Security for my back and my neck. From 2007 to 2010, I was subleasing an apartment in Tompkins Projects in Brooklyn. And you know, the guy that I was subleasing for, he passed away, so there was nobody to fill out the papers. And I definitely didn't want to live under no female roof. And I would say it to myself, since I'm getting Social Security, you know, I'm going to go to the shelter and have them help me get an affordable apartment. Because now I can't walk. I mean, you know, I can't work no more. But, you know, I still have to find a way to, you know, to live.
So the apartment that you were staying in was not, you couldn't afford to stay there on your own, right? Or was it?
No, I was subleasing it.
Oh, you were subleasing?
Yeah.
So you figured out you could go into you went into the New York shelter system.
Yes.
Which I heard is monstrosity, crazy. How did that work out? How long were you in the system?
I was in the system from 2010 to 2021.
What? Explain that. Explain that. Well, explain that, why it took so long, and then let's talk about, it sounds like the system is broken.
Yeah, well, there's a lot going on. I mean, I say beyond broken. You know, like, to me, like, the homeless system is just a hustle for everybody.
You mean hustle for the city or hustle?
City,
right.
For the city, yeah, for the city.
But these are not city-run shelters, are they? They are privately owned shelters, run shelters, but the city subsidize it?
Yeah, well, it's privately owned, but the owners of the shelters and the city, the people from the city, they all best of friends. They sit down, have $3,000 dinners and everything. So they all best of friends.
So with your experience, 11 years is a long time being in the system. How did it take you that long? Did the system take you that long to find a place? Or was it political that they couldn't find your place? How did you stay in the system that long?
Well, I stayed in the system that long because I was dealing with like a lot of retaliation from the shelter staff and even from the DHS administration. Right. And you know, they got this thing called administrative transfer where they could just say, like, yo, you transfer to such and such, and then you have to leave. Like you don't stay in one shelter until they find you someplace else to live. No, it depends. It depends on the person and who you are. Me, see, if you get transferred from one shelter to another shelter, your whole housing package start over. Ooh. So you saying that people did that deliberately? Yeah. So now my question is, right now, you said 2000, you got out of 221. As of December 2023, there's 123,000 people in the New York homeless shelter system. Now, I don't know what percentage of that was migrants. Now, you decided to write a book about it. Now, tell us about the book and what's the book talk about? Tell us the name of the book. Well, the name of the book is How I Made It Out After 11 Years Inside New York City Department of Homeless Services. And as y'all can see what's going on now, I used the word out because I really made it out. They wasn't trying to let me out. I made it out. When you say they're not trying to let you out, meaning that because you saw things that were wrong in the system. I was advocating. I was putting in federal lawsuits. I was making complaints to 311. You know, so this was their thing to retaliate against me because, you know, I'm just not advocating for myself. I'm advocating for the rest of the single adult men shelters.
Right. And now, in the how many single adult men shelters are there in New York?
I'm not too sure.
How many did you go through?
I got it in my book. Like in my book, I got all the shelters that I stayed in. It's well over 10.
Really?
Might have been like 15.
Really?
And some of them I stayed in twice.
Because they kept transferring you?
That's just the way that's what I said. That's how I made it out, because if you get transferred again, your housing package start over. So say if I go from one shelter, say if I'm in the shelter, it's called right here.
Right.
And I got my housing package, and then I'm about to get an apartment or start looking at an apartment. Then they transfer me to the other shelter called over here. My whole housing package start over from the beginning when I get to over here.
That's not right. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
It's called the administrative transfer, man. That's like a weapon that they use inside the Department of Homeless.
Now, you started under what mayor? That was under de Blasio?
No.
No, it was before de Blasio?
Before that, I think. Bloomberg.
Bloomberg.
Yeah, I started on Blue. See, what happened, all right, I went in the shelter in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
In April. I got my housing voucher. This is no lie, y'all. I got my housing voucher in January 2011.
Okay, less than a year.
Yeah, less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got my voucher on a Thursday or Friday. That exact next Monday, Bloomberg announced that he's cutting the Work Advantage program, and that was a program that a lot of people was getting apartments under.
Mm-hmm.
So once it was to the point, even if you was about to get in your apartment, if you wasn't in your apartment when that was done, then you was messed up. You wasn't getting in.
So then, and this was before the migrant people came. So now you put the migrants in it. So what happens to the people that are already in the system? Because as I understand it, the migrants are getting more money than the people that are in the shelters, and they're getting first priority over housing. Am I correct to say that?
But no, I don't think they're getting first priority over housing. I don't think that the city and the advocates would allow that. But what they are getting money. They are getting first priority over the people that was stuck in. I was in the shelter 11 years straight. I know it's guys still in there that I know. So that's why I use the word out in my book, because they stuck in there. Okay,
but you can say being stuck. Okay, there's few different types of system. You got single. You got single men. Mm-hmm. You got single women. Mm-hmm. You got families, and you got disabilities.
Mental
health. So those are the four different shelters. Mm-hmm. And you were bounced between the single shelters for 11 years.
Yeah.
At some point, didn't somebody say, wait, this is not right. You can't, a single man who has some disabilities that need help out of the system, nobody takes, especially a black man, right? Mm-hmm. Being a black man, nobody cares. Mm-hmm. That has to make you, did it make you angry?
I mean, to be honest, I was in the system 11 years. I really didn't know how the vouchers worked until with 1 year left in 11 years, 2020. Because, so in 2010, Mayor Bloomberg cut the Work Advantage program. Mm-hmm. Another voucher program didn't come out until 2015, which the Link Advantage program.
So now wait, what is that? Okay, that means Section 8.
Yeah, people in the shelters.
They give Section 8.
No, not Section 8, people in the shelters, like the vouchers for the people in the shelters.
Right.
That was the Link Advantage.
So that means that you get a certain amount of money to find an apartment?
No.
Explain this to how does that work?
Well, this Link Advantage program was, you pay 30% of your rent.
Right.
So whatever your rent is, you pay 30%. But with the Link Advantage program, this was 2015. DHS was putting a lot of K2 smokers
Okay. Because they
in
have
these
mental
apartments.
issues, right?
No, but they put them in these apartments.
Okay.
And only reason why DHS put them in apartments because there was headaches in the shelter. So DHS wanted to get rid of them headaches, so they gave them apartments. And all the K2 smokers are getting Social Security so they could pay 30% of their rent.
But hold on a second. Okay, guys, K2 is a synthetic marijuana that they put on marijuana that makes you crazy.
Yeah,
pretty
but
much.
now they don't put it on marijuana. They make it in the lab.
Oh, yeah, it's a
made in the
synthetic drug,
lab,
right?
yeah.
So even if they gave the K2 smokers an apartment, wouldn't they end up back in the shelter?
Well, this is what happened in 2015. DHS put all the K2 smokers in these apartments in the Link Advantage program, and they tore them landlords' apartments up in the buildings. I went to like 5 of these apartments, and they looked horrible. And you know, and like I said, DHS just picked K2 smokers because they was giving problems in the shelter.
Right.
So they said, put them in their thing. They could pay half, and also they get Social Security. They could pay 30%. But when they got into them apartments, they tore them apartments up. They smoked K2, and this is 2015. And this is, listen, let me tell y'all. And this is why the landlords really do not want to accept no vouchers coming out of the New York City Department of Homeless Services.
Right. No Section 8.
Just because of this. I don't know about Section 8. Only thing I know, like, I think Section 8 is, only thing I know about is the vouchers right now is the 2010E, which I'm under because I get Social Security.
What are the people that live in NYCHA? What are those people?
That's housing. That's different from.
But they didn't. When you're in the shelter system, did they offer that to you?
No. Well, I never heard of that. But also, if you got a felony, I don't think you could get a apartment.
Oh, really?
Night,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, right. That's right. You can't have a felony. Yeah. Right. So, but if you think about it, if you're on disability and you have to pay 30% of your income to rent, and you got bills, you're kind of stuck in the system. Don't you feel that you're still stuck in the system?
Well, but for me, I got my apartment in 2021, and I'm going on.
During the pandemic.
That's the only reason I got it, because of the pandemic. But let me say something about the pandemic real quick. I mean, the COVID pandemic was, it killed a lot of people in the world. But for the homeless people in New York City,
They didn't kill anybody.
No, yeah, it did.
It
was
did?
a top, yeah. For the homeless people in New York City, it was a blessing because it made the administration look at us and pay us attention now. Like, when the COVID first hit, everybody outside the shelters, they had their masks, hand sanitizer. They had nothing set up for us.
But the pandemic kind of helped the homeless because
Yes.
they put you in hotels by yourself or places by yourself where you couldn't.
They didn't. De Blasio didn't want to do that. He was forced to do that.
Of course.
So, he didn't want to do that. He was forced to do that. So they didn't do anything to help us. He was forced to do that. So if they was doing something to help us, then they would have had things set up for us before the COVID hit. So we didn't really matter. Like, at one point at the beginning, and I was doing a lot of recording and putting it on Twitter, and I am a big reason why 20,000 of us got to them hotels.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, when you say retribution, being in the system, did anyone ever call you out to any of the administration or any of the people that the social workers says, Alfonso, stop.
Stop what?
Stop. You're causing too much trouble. Did anybody ever come to you and say that? Like, okay, or did they silently go, okay, we see our retribution is, okay, we're going to transfer him right at the point when, you're going to get a house, you're going to get an apartment, and then they'll transfer you. So you have to start all over again. Is that what you mean by retribution?
Yeah, that's that. That was their way of teaching me a lesson for advocating against
Did you ever take anybody to task for that? Did you ever call anybody out? Like, did you say, okay, did you ever bring up, say, you know, you have to start all over again? You went to 10 or 15 different shelters. Did you ever go to somebody and go, listen, why? Stop.
Yeah, I went to a lot of people. I went to the Coalition of the Homeless. I called 311. I went to Ombudsman's Orphan. These are all, I call Legal Aid Society. These are all organizations that are supposed to help people inside the shelters. But I did everything on my own.
Did you ever consider a class action lawsuit?
I did. It's in my book, man. I attempted to do 3 class action lawsuits in 3 different shelters.
Right.
And, you know, like our mail comes to,
right.
So the staff get the mail before us and they got to give it out to us, which is not a problem.
Right.
So when the staff seen that there was a lot of mail coming back from federal, because I put in federal lawsuits, when they seen there was a lot of mail coming back from the federal courts, they seen what's going on. And then the judge allowed us to proceed with our case. So what they did was administrative transfer me. Now, once I'm away from the other 25 people,
right, separate.
I can't. Once you go from one shelter to another shelter, like I can't come back in that shelter that I just left. Also,
you can't visit. You can't.
I can stand outside, but I can't go in the front. But once somebody get transferred, say they transfer Greg. They say, I'm transferring you, Greg, and it's me and you, and then you get transferred, and I go to the case manager. I go to anybody, I say, like, yo, what shelter y'all transfer Greg to?
They won't tell you.
No, they're not allowed to tell me. So once they transfer me, they can't tell the other 24 people where they transfer me to.
Wow, that's kind of a catch-22. That's kind of a prison.
Yeah, that's how they. Well, that's how they messed up. That's how they messed up my class action lawsuit. So we had a lot of stuff. It's in the book. I put a lot of cases in against these people.
And did you name actual people?
Yeah.
In the lawsuit.
When you're doing the federal lawsuits, you got to name the person.
So in 11 years, you've been through 3 mayors.
I did.
Yeah, 3 mayors. You got Bloomberg, de Blasio.
No, I've been through 2. I was out before Adams came.
Oh, right. Adams just came, right. So when de Blasio became mayor, was it any better?
Well, to be honest, like, I never got into, like, the politics and the mayor. Like, I really didn't know who the mayor was. Like that was never me, you know what I mean? Like, the treatment in the shelter forced me to learn all of that. And then once I got on Twitter in 2020, that's when I started learning a lot. So that's when I was like, oh, okay, de Blasio, this and that. So I was really never into politics. I could tell you, through them 2 mayors, ain't nothing changed in the shelter. It just got worse.
Really? So in the shelter system, like, you're being disabled when you're in the shelter system. You wake up in the morning, did you have to leave?
See, that's another thing. In the mental health shelters, some of them, they wake us up at like 8 in the morning, and they'll come in our room yelling.
Really?
They'll come playing loud music.
That's kind of inhumane.
That's what they do. And then they wake us up at 8, and then they tell us we got to be out our dorms. They don't say you got to leave the shelter. They say you have to be out your dorm room. So everybody get up and they go to a day room now. So you have 150 people in the day room. And they mental health. They just took their medication. And you're not even allowing our medication to work. So, you know, when they do that, a lot of the mental health people, they leave out the shelter. 150 people not going to sit in no day room.
Right. No, but that would cause all kind of problems too, right?
It
Fights,
does all
violence,
all the time. That's why back in 2019, like right before the COVID, that's why a lot of things was happening on MTA dealing with the homeless mental health people, because these shelters kicked them out at 9 in the morning. They're not gonna sit in there. And you know, they have mental problems. So when you kicking them out, you waking them up the way you waking them up.
Right.
So when they leave out this shelter after they like 9, 10, They go into the streets, they go into the trains, they going somewhere to sit, sleep,
Right, right.
and then they go
Then
with
they get harassed.
No, then they go in with an attitude. Then
Right.
they harass the general public.
Right.
That's why like a lot of them pushes on the thing, like you
Right.
know, like my mental health, homeless community, they cause a lot of problems. But the shelter providers, they if you kicking a person out, like.
But let me ask you this though: what about? Because I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that each guys had caseworkers.
Yeah.
How? I know you want to know because I got to think. Caseworkers, they weren't advocating for you then.
No, they couldn't. They all caseworkers. They all a team. They all working under the city. You know what I mean? If caseworker advocate for me, then they gonna fire the caseworker. You
Right,
understand?
right,
Like it's all a program that they all follow. You know what I mean? Like they give the apartments to who they want to.
It's all like it's like politics. You're playing a political game.
I mean, yeah, like exactly. It's definitely just like that. And but it's worse because you know they don't even know like their job is to serve. Their job is not to judge us. You know what I mean?
But their job is to help you get out of the system, right? You would think.
See, let me tell you what they did. Get out of what apartments to what apartments?
But the city has a lot of apartments.
Not for homeless people.
There's enough apartments. I would say if the city wanted, the city could put homeless people, I would think, New York homeless people in enough apartments. Because think about this. You don't think so? Like, you know, New York City, majority of New York City has projects.
I agree with you.
You know? So, since, like, you couldn't get, like, certain people got in apartments, certain people went to the projects. So, wouldn't it be to the best ability of a social worker is to get a homeless person an apartment? I would think. Me, and you've been in it. What do you think the objective for the caseworker or the people in the administration, what would be their objective is to get you out of the system, right? Well, to get you in an apartment, self-sufficient.
The caseworkers, they have bosses over them, which is called the supervisors and all of that. So it's whoever the bosses, it's whoever their caseworkers or their bosses like, that's who gets an apartment. But when I say get an apartment, I'm going on 14 years? I'm going on 14 years dealing with the NYC homelessness. They not putting us in no apartments. They won't make no money putting us in apartment. They make more money keeping us in shelters.
Because the shelters are privately owned, nonprofit shelters that are funded by the city and the federal government. So it would be the advantage of the owner of the shelter to keep you there because they get paid per person.
And like I told you at the beginning, they good friends. All the shelter providers is good friends with the mayors. They all good friends, man.
It's like a conspiracy. Well, it's not even a conspiracy. It's not right.
It's a hustle.
It's a total hustle.
Yeah.
And then you were smart enough to advocate, but there's a lot of people in the mental part of it that don't know how. Like you said, you didn't know how until after what? Until like.
It took me 8 years
To learn how to process, right?
Yeah, because you know at one time my 311 calls was working.
Right.
But I guess I was putting too much in, and I guess they was getting used to me. So I said I had to do something that they have to answer. And I said, yeah, lawsuits, and not no state or city, federal lawsuits.
Right,
you know?
right,
So
right.
would do all that adjourning and postponing and all of that.
So now, when like say it's in the mental health system, they provide you. They provide you, or do they provide the shelters with your medication, or do you have nurses and doctors in the system? Like, and you say you're in a mental health facility. That's a homeless shelter. Okay, you get up, you have to go in the day room. Everybody take their medication. Do they give you the medication, or do you have to take your medication on your own?
Well, some shelters allow you to hold your own medication, or you might have to get a note from the doctor that says you can self-medicate, like myself.
Right.
And then some shelters, you got to give the shelters your medication. But
Wow.
say if the doctor is not there,
Right.
they come in that day, they allow anybody to give you your medication. Yeah.
Are you serious?
And they steal your medication.
Yeah, I was gonna
too.
ask
That's a
you.
hustle. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Man, if you look like just like a week ago, like 18 people got arrested for stealing 170 homeless people in New York City's identity and using it for the COVID. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when people just look at us like we're a hustle, man. They just find a way they can make money off of us.
How does that keep you sane, if I may? Because I've known you for a couple years, and I've seen you. I mean, you're amazing. You're an amazing guy. Write a book. I mean, you've been, as a black man, you know, I understand, you know, how the world sees us. But when you're dealing with what you're dealing with, how does that not make you mad? Does it make you angry? How does that, how do you direct that into not being violent, if I may?
Good question. 11 years, man. My book is, you know, I got an editor named Diane Payne. And I don't want to give too much away, but
Right, you got to buy the book.
it is violence in there, man. It's 11 years, and it's violence in there. And well, as far as me, man, when I was prior to me being homeless, I did 10 years. I was incarcerated in a federal prison.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew how to carry myself around a bunch of men. You understand?
Right.
So for me, not for everybody, but for me, when I went in, like, it's not hard for me to carry myself around.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because you knew how.
And they also know, you know, like, respect me, I respect you. That's it. Simple. You
Mind your
understand?
business.
Yeah. Like, I had more problems with the staff and administration that I had with my fellow homeless brothers.
But you know, which is kind of odd because your demeanor, you're approachable, very respectful, and that when I can't imagine you disrespecting an administrative person when you're just trying to find out information. Did you know? Were they, you know, when you just ask somebody a question, were they mean or disrespectful to you, the administration staff, when you're trying to, you know, move? They obviously knew that you were trying your hardest to get out of the homeless system, out of the homeless shelter system. Now, and I know you to the point where you're not like, yo, disrespectful. You'll go to somebody and they still would treat you horribly?
Yeah, well, you know, me, prior to my homelessness in 2010, you know, from 2004 to 2010, I worked with a lot of nonprofit organizations. I also worked with one called Acorn. So, and you know, and that was dealing with the communities. I was working in my own community in Coney Island. I also worked on the, when they were switching over, trying to make the people in the house that watch the kids get the same pay as people in the census watching the kids.
Really?
I also worked and we won to get low income housing down by the Barclays Center in Brooklyn before the Barclays Center had been put up. So we also won that when I was also with Acorn. So,
Is Acorn still around though? Acorn still?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, because I remember like 5 years ago they were.
Yeah, something happened. It was a while ago, but just from that experience, I seen what I like to do. You know what I mean? So
That's why
from that experience, it just, you know, everything just built from that experience. But also dealing with Acorn also taught me how to be professional.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
And it also taught me how, you know, I was a city worker. So to me, I was dealing with people. So to me, I was always professional. So now the tables is turned. Now I'm in the shelter dealing with city workers. And they are very unprofessional and they are very disrespectful. And me, that's not acceptable to me because I did the same work I do. Like
Right.
this.
So, but let me ask you this. The city workers, okay, in the homeless shelter system, which is a nonprofit organization that's privately owned, the staff there, are they put there by the city or are they put there by the owners?
Well, I think I guess you know that if the owners the owners of the shelters do the hiring, but it's not hard, man.
Right,
Like it's
right.
like anybody could get a shelter job. You know what I mean? Like right now, like anybody could get a shelter job. So it's not like a job that you really gotta look
Right.
at.
It's like a babysitting job almost, right?
Not even a baby. It's not a babysitting job.
Right.
But that's what they used to call us, and we found
Really?
that very disrespectful. We didn't like that.
Because you guys are grown people, grown.
Yeah, and they used to be like, "Oh, we sitting here babysitting, y'all. You ain't babysitting us. You sitting here getting a check.
Right,
That's
right.
what you doing.
They,
You
that
understand?
that disrespectful.
They say more stuff than that. You know what I mean? It's
Have you ever seen a person attack?
me.
No,
laughing.
no, attack a staff member. No, attack staff member.
No, I've seen staff members attacking people. You asked the
Really?
wrong question. Yes.
They just
Listen, let me tell y'all, man. If there's a fight between a client and a staff member, I'm gonna say 7 times out of 10 that staff member started that fight.
Right.
But this is what they know: the staff will start a fight where they know they know no cameras is there, so they know the
Right.
blind spot. Or they might go in the dorm. There's no
Right,
things in the
right,
dorm. They
right.
might go in the dorm and start the fight. You understand?
now when you fight with that's kind of crazy because the staff member will start a fight with the client, and then whether you would and the people will probably side with the staff, and then you get kicked out of the shelter system.
Well, the staff know that the judge and the police is not going to believe this client over
Right,
them.
right.
That's number one. And you won't get kicked out the shelter. You probably get transferred to us. Now, sometimes they might suspend you or something, but
When they suspend you, what does that mean?
well, it's like in regular shelters, when I was in a regular shelter and you got caught smoking in your dorm or anything, they could suspend you 3 to 7 days, which means you can't be in no New York City shelters. You only could be in a drop-in shelter.
What is that?
I don't know. I've never been there. But I guess it's a shelter you go to. I don't know. I guess you just go there every day and just drop in. Yeah, it's something down there by the Bowery, something like that.
So I remember, when I was Nat and I were doing something on homeless one time. There's a shelter system, men's shelter system, on Ward Island.
Yeah, I was there.
Now, tell me about that, because they said that's a mixture of men, regular people, and mental, right? That's all. Is it just how is that?
No.
How is that?
All of them is mental health.
All of them?
All the shelters on Randall's Island is mental health.
Oh man, how many men? How many men?
I don't know how many men, but I know is you got the Clark Thomas, that's a shelter. You got the Keena building. You got the Swartz building. You got Help USA. And now you got a female shelter over there. You had one called Help Myers. They just closed that
Right.
not too long ago. And it's a place where they send a lot of their sex offenders.
Really? So let me ask you, being in the shelter system, what about mental health? Does the city help you with the mental health? I'm asking because I don't know, and I know you would know. What does the city do with them? Because the city, as you know, overall, we have mental health. Mental illness is real. We know that. We've seen the uptick in crime in the city, and it comes from mental health issues as well. I would say some migrant issues and crime overall. What does the city do, or I know the city doesn't do enough to help with your mental health?
The city give you a mental health problem.
Of course.
No.
You already have a mental health problem.
No. No, listen. The city gives you a mental health problem. For
Explain
example,
that.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
I was in the regular shelters from 2010 to 2015 in a regular adult single men shelter.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the regular adult single men health shelters and you have the mental health shelter. It was called Micah shelters.
Mm-hmm.
So for 5 years I was in the regular adult shelters. 2015, they sent me to these shelters. I start hearing the word MICA, mental health. To come to find out, they put me in a mental health shelter, and I never been diagnosed with a mental health. Listen. So it took me like a month to find out what type of shelter I was in, so I put all types of 311 calls in. Now listen, it took me 2 years to get out that mental health shelter and get put back in a regular single adult shelter. And that was in 2017. So in 2017, I go back to a regular adult shelter, men's single adult shelter. So now I'm talking to the psych lady about my voucher to get an apartment, because you have to talk to the psych. So she starting to she asked me questions, Seville, why you can't make eye contact? I was sweating. She's like, why you sweating? I didn't know, because for the last 2 years, like year and a half, my body started acting funny. Like I get on the train and I just start sweating in the summertime, and I'm thinking it's because of the heat. Or I get on the train in the winter and I'm still sweating. So I go on the train with a coat and just a t-shirt. I'm thinking I'm hot. So come to find out, after 2 years, when I was talking to the psych lady for the voucher, she diagnosed me with a mental illness. Because they left me in the mental health shelter for 2 years.
So that means
that was the change of my body. Like that was the anxiety.
Wow.
So like that's when I say that the city gives you a mental health.
Wait,
the city gives you a mental health.
So let me. I'm a little. I don't know. I'm a little taken back. I'm a little shocked. You went into a mental health facility.
No, they put me in
they put you there.
Yes.
But you weren't you weren't diagnosed as mentally, but being in a mental health facility around people, you become.
I had to adapt to my environment. It was totally different from a regular shelter to
Right,
a
of
mental
course.
health shelter. Like in the mental health shelter, like I said, like in the regular shelter, if you smoke K2 in your room, you get suspended. Mental health shelters, that's all they did was smoke K2 in the room. You don't get suspended. There's nothing new.
So adapting to your environment, that means
I had to always stay on point. I had to always watch my back. I had to always stand with my back to everything. Like,
how is that different from prison? You see what I'm saying?
No, listen, let me tell y'all, it's different from prison, because in prison you're not around a bunch of people with mental health. You understand? You're not around
not as many. Not as many.
And let me tell you another thing real quick. Rikers Island is better than the shelters. Only thing better in the shelters than Rikers Island is that you could leave, you're free. But cleaning, the food, the way they carry, everything is better on Rikers Island than the shelter
Are you serious? I
Promise
mean,
you.
I am happy. Your book is going to
explain all that.
it's going to expose the whole system.
No, they know I've been exposing them. They just keep me quiet, man. They
can't keep you quiet after this book.
Yeah, that's. But they just try to keep me quiet, or they'll say, "Oh, he ain't in the shelter no more," or they'll say that I'm lying, or they'll try to get another homeless advocate to dispute the things that I'm saying, But
Really?
This homeless advocate never been in a mental health shelter, so how you gonna talk about mental health shelter? So they've been trying to keep me, like I said, I met the mayor, I sat down and had breakfast with the old DHS commissioner, Gary Jenkins, like they know me, Coalition of Homeless know me, Legal Aid, they all know about Alfonso Seville.
Wow.
I do a lot of work. I got a YouTube page.
Yes, it's a very good
Alfonso Seville, and
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram Alfonso Seville, Twitter Alfonso Seville, TikTok the author known as Alfonso Seville.
Yes.
And I got on my YouTube page, man. It goes back like maybe 2 years. Everything that's happened now, I've been talking about.
Mm-hmm. So now, let me ask you. Now we got the migrants. Now, let me ask you this. Do they put the migrants with the New York shelter system people, or are they separate?
No, all right, well, let me break it down before the migrants came. Not knowing that the people that I was in the shelter with, they was migrants too.
Right.
But I just knew that they didn't have no They didn't have their papers, so they couldn't get no apartment. I didn't know them as migrants. I'm just learning as migrants. But they was in there. Now, as far as them, when they was in there, they was a gang in there. That's a fact, man. Like
gang as in like they take your stuff or
yeah, they take your stuff. They bully you. See, you gotta understand.
But you guys are grown men.
They in the shelter. They know they don't have no papers.
Right.
So they know they can't get no apartment. So basically, really, the shelter is their home.
Right. So they don't do everything they can to.
Yeah, and then it's a bunch of them. They all, speak Spanish. It's a bunch of them. You understand?
Right.
And they spread it out in different shelters, but they around, and they torture all the old black people.
Really?
Only people like. They respect people like me, and in the shelter, it was maybe one or two of me. You understand? And they know I ain't play with them. You know what I mean? So, they was, like I said, they was a gang before they even got here. You see all the thing they doing now?
Yeah.
They're doing that in the shelter, but it's
now
just a lot of them.
now it's being
They a gang.
Now the media's picking it
very
up.
disrespectful, and they won't mind killing a person because. They'd rather do 25 years and not jail than been sent back to their country.
That's crazy, and I know that.
That's a fact.
And our mayor just keeps on bringing. Well, the governor. It's up to the governor as well as the mayor because we are sanctuary city.
It's up to the president.
It's up to the president, yes, but a lot of states are not sanctuary cities. So
New York City can't stop it. We can't do nothing about that.
No, we can change. No, the governor can change it.
Well, I don't know. Like they said, it goes back. It goes back to It goes back a long time, I think, to 1979. But this is the mayor fault, man. The mayor is the cause of all of this.
Of course, yeah.
When this first happened, like y'all see, I'm advocating. So when this first happened, I'm arguing with the governor from Texas who's sending the buses over here.
Right.
But then I thought. But if the president is allowing this, so the governor of Texas ain't doing nothing wrong to me.
Right.
Because when he's sending to New York, he's getting much more than in Texas.
Well, it all started under the Ronald Reagan administration. When Ronald Reagan became president, that's the first thing he did was open the doors to the mental institutions to say, get out, and gave them no place to go.
Dealing with them, like I said, is the mayor's fault. When the migrants thing first started, all the advocates was advocating against it. As from out of nowhere, the mayor had open arms. Send them all. But he's spending a bunch of money.
But help me explain. But Alfonso, help me explain that. I don't understand. I even asked the mayor himself. You should want to help the people that vote for you quicker than the people that can't vote for you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is, and then you know what, you say that, and if you look around, like you said that, you're 100% right about that too, but if you look around, only people that suffering is the homeless and the low black income communities. Why? Because we don't come out and vote.
Now, do you advocate to people to vote? Well, let me ask you, where do you stand on voting?
I'm no Democrat nor Republican.
No, I'm asking you whether Democrat, but what about voting?
I never voted a day in my life.
But don't you think voting locally will make a difference?
Now that I see on Twitter, like I said, I just got on Twitter in 2020, and I just started learning the politics.
Right.
Prior to then, I didn't really,
So that's what's happening in the shelter system. People not educated about voting.
And that's my main thing. Like I'm about to hit the streets. Like I do a lot of groundwork.
Right, I've seen your groundwork. You actually go and take pictures, videos.
I've been in the shelters for 11 years, so I know everybody in the shelters. You know what I mean?
Are you not angry?
Everybody know me.
You angry?
Angry?
Yeah, angry.
Nah, I'm not angry. I'm not angry.
I was asking, are you angry?
No, I'm not angry, but I'm definitely getting back for keeping me in the shelter for 11 years.
Disappointed?
No, I'm not disappointed at all. Like I said, they kept me in there for 11 years, all right? I'm going to say 10.
Okay.
They kept me in there for 10 years. I've been out 3. So I got 7 more years of advocating against them. As long as they kept me in there, that's how long I'm
Will
advocating
you ever stop
against them.
advocating against it? Because this seems like
Nah,
it's
probably
in your
not.
blood.
Probably
It's in your
not.
blood.
Probably not.
And there's not, you know what? And there's not a lot of people like you. You should. Yeah, I admire you because you could have gotten your apartment and said, "Screw it, I'm gonna live my life." And you and I have talked on many occasions, and I've seen your videos. We're friends. That you are out on the on the forefront. You're on the ground.
I'm front line.
Yeah, you're
I've
on the
been
front line.
Even COVID, like I said, man, I'm the reason that 20,000 of us got to them hotels. I'm the reason why other advocates got their big start. I'm the reason why these other homeless organizations got funding during the COVID. I'm the reason for
In an ideal world, what would you want to see with the homeless overall?
With us?
Yeah, you're not with you. You're not homeless. So, but
Nah, I still consider myself us. I've been in there 11 years, so I'm definitely, they're a reflection of me. I'm a reflection of them. I want to see us get apartments.
You want to see the system get fixed. You think the system is beyond being fixed?
Yeah, it's a hustle. It's all about making money. Nobody's in it to give nobody to really help the people and the homeless. You understand? And like I said, this is also like the mayor Adams. He spent, when it first started, he spent $2 billion. He only did that because he thought the president was going to send him some money. So that's why he was out there spending a bunch of money. Take this, take this.
But he wasn't spending it on New York homeless. He was spending it on the migrants.
Yeah, this is the mayor game. This is his game because the president, that's his boss.
Right.
So a president is allowing the migrants to come in. They Democrats too, so they sticking together.
Right.
The president is allowing the migrants come in, so the mayor have to do whatever his boss. So he have to open his arm. Now, Mayor Adams, he black, he from Brooklyn, so he really thinking about money. Like at the end of the day, don't let the politics.
Right, of course.
He's from Brownsville too.
Right.
So the mayor's like, all right, send him. I'm gonna spend this money, and I know my boss, the president, is gonna reimburse me.
Right, but he didn't.
And he didn't. That's why we fucked up right now. Cause Adams spent all that money, and ain't nobody fault but Mayor Adams.
Right.
He spent all that money at the beginning. And we was telling them, he was building tents. These people had Xboxes, couches, TVs, gourmet. The migrants, man, listen, I got food poisoned twice.
Really?
At 11 years, I only ate in the shelter for 2 years.
Really?
The migrants came over here and they complained about the same food I was eating for the last 11 years with everybody in the shelter.
Don't they have, but wait, not to cut you off. Don't they have, the shelters have to have a standard of nutrition to feed the homeless, right?
Yeah, nobody's checking. Nobody's checking us.
No checks and balances.
Nobody's checking up on it. They're not ordering these shelters, the things to see what they're doing with the money. They're not, like I said, everybody is a hustle and everybody is friends. You understand? Like we don't know what they do, but I know that they're friends.
But we don't even, what about, food poisoning? We don't hear about that. We don't hear about the deaths.
Like all of that is, they keep all that quiet, but there's also that confidentiality law thing that they really use, that the shelters really use for their advantage. They don't never use it to help us. You understand?
Right. Okay, again, is the system beyond fixing?
Yes, definitely. Not even the system. Like it ain't even the system now. It's New York City. New York City is beyond fixing.
You think New York City is beyond fixing?
Yeah, man. We 7 to 10 years behind what we normally do. I promise y'all. I'm leaving New York City first thing I can, man.
Where you want to go?
I'm not gonna leave out of New York State, but I'm gonna leave out of New York City.
You're done.
Yeah.
Kind of beat you up.
Yeah, it's not but negativity out here, man.
Right. I need you to tell us a little bit. We got a few more minutes. We got about 7-8 minutes. How do we? I can't wait. I want to be the second person. I'm your number 1 fan. You know that, right? I am so proud of it. I see this guy every single day, and he's always advocating, and never ask for anything. Never ask for anything. Tell us the name of your book again.
Well, the name of my book is called How I Made It Out After 11 Years Inside New York City Department of Homeless Services.
That is incredible. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, you could get a hold of me at Alfonso Seville on YouTube, Alfonso Seville on Twitter, Alfonso Seville 50 at Gmail, Alfonso Seville on Instagram. That's the 4 things. Or my phone number 646-527-0385.
You know, everybody gonna be blowing it up.
However, y'all need to get in contact with me, man.
Now, my question is, I can't see. You always had this pleasant disposition. For somebody that's been through the things that you've been through, you're not angry. What keeps you sane and calm?
I stay to myself, and I put myself first now.
Right. That's important. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You take care of yourself. Wow. I'm so impressed. In this book, I mean, this is a pretty much tell-all book, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a tell-all book. There's a lot of stories in there. There's a lot of corruption in there. There's a lot of stealing, but it's also a funny book.
Right.
Like, it'll put a smile on your face, but it also is an educational book.
Make you cry?
Yeah, it'll make you cry. It's definitely make you cry. It's also education. You definitely could learn a lot from this book, as far as all my homeless people throughout the world.
Wow. Let me ask you. So I got about 3 minutes, because what would you want to say to anybody that's in the system right now? Because a lot of people are going to see this. What would you say? What words of encouragement would you give them?
Learn your rights and start taking them to court, putting in lawsuits.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you,
I
Greg.
appreciate you, man.
Not
I
a
mean,
problem.
guys, this book is an amazing book. I mean, I can't wait to read this book. The system is broken. And do we know, can it be fixed? I'm not even, I have no personal experience in this, but I see it every day in the city that we live in. We live in a city that it's one of the best cities in the world, but violence has definitely taken over the city. And our subway system, everything is taken over. Our subway system is taken over,
The projects.
The projects have gotten even worse. And when I say projects, guys, the projects in New York City, we have this thing called NYCHA. New York City, New York City Housing Authority, right? And those are projects. Harlem has a lot. Harlem has a lot of projects, and the crime rate's gone up.
Yeah, but also, like I was telling you, and also, like, we dealing with politics. It's a hustle. Like, the only people that's hurting Greg, man, is the homeless people and the low-income people, because we don't come out and vote. Like, if we was voters, you see the mayor, he be with the Chinese people, he be with the Jewish people. These are all communities that come out and vote by the massive.
Right.
So that's who he's targeting. But the people...
He doesn't care.
He don't care about the low black income community. He don't care about the NYC legal homeless. He don't care about them. He care about anything that's making them some money or anything that's going to help him win that next campaign, which he's not going to win in 2025.
Right. No, he's not. He's a one-term mayor. Yeah, he's a one-term. And that's what I want to say to people that are even black, disenfranchised, poor, middle class. It is your right to vote. It is your right. You can make a difference in your local politics is you vote. And our forefathers have died to vote, to give us that right to vote.
Can I say one thing to my low-income community and my homeless people? Even if we don't vote, we still affected by the outcome.
Absolutely.
So we might as well vote.
Right. It's your right.
Yes.
It is your right to vote.
Still affected. Yes.
And you know what? You woke up because you had no clue.
Twitter woke me up.
See that? You know what? And now that the Congress is trying to ban TikTok because of the free information or the wokeness that disseminates information that people never knew about. You know, like Twitter woke you up. Now you know you have a right to vote.
I mean, I been knew I had a right to vote.
You didn't think it made a difference?
I didn't know how important it was until I got on Twitter. I didn't know how important it is. That's the most important thing is the vote.
Right. And I got to tell you guys, voting is your right. You need to vote. We need to vote on a local. We need to vote on a national level.
Yes.
It is important to vote. You know, don't sit there and say to yourself, "Oh, my vote doesn't make a difference." It's your vote. It is your right. Our forefathers have died to give us these rights to vote. And voting does make a difference. And you're voting, especially on a local level, when you got people that's not doing anything, like the mayor. He's not doing anything for the homeless. He's doing more for the migrants than he is homeless.
Because he's trying to get money.
You know?
The money, whatever, let me tell you, look, the mayor spent $2 billion. Now, if the president would him send him $6 billion to reimburse him, you know who touched that money? Eric Adams. He distributed that money the way he see fit.
Right, throughout the budgets, throughout the different communities, the different agencies.
That's all he want to do is touch that money. That's what Eric, like I said, man, Eric from Brooklyn, man. I'm from Brooklyn, man. Shout out to Brooklyn, man. Like, Biggie forever, man. Eric from Brooklyn, man. I see through that. He know that. That's why they try to keep me quiet and try to throw dirt on my name.
Right.
I
They
see
can't
through
do it, right?
I see through all that, man.
Right.
You know that?
Listen, brother, I am so proud of you.
Definitely.
I am so proud of you. Tell us again, one more time, Alfonso, how to get a hold of you. And when is your book going to come out? We didn't even say when the book was going to be out.
All right. My book will be out May 21st on Biggie Small's birthday.
Uh-oh.
And, you know, like I said, I am a Brooklynite, and it's just a way to salute, you know, Biggie Smalls for opening the door for a lot of people out in Brooklyn and show him a lot of love and respect like we've been doing. So it's coming out May 21st.
Pre-sale. You're going to pre-sale too, right?
Yeah, I'm going to do the pre-sale. The pre-sale probably hit April, the first week in April.
Okay. Now tell us how to get a hold of you one more time.
646-527-0385. That's my phone number. Alfonso Seville 50 Gmail. Alfonso Seville YouTube. Alfonso Seville Twitter. Alfonso Seville TikTok. And Alfonso Seville IG.
Guys, remember this. I want to thank you again.
I want to thank you.
I really appreciate it coming on the show.
Sure,
guys, you've been listening to The Point with yours truly, Greg Lassiter. And I want to thank my crew. Nat Wood, you are amazing. My director, my producer, Corey Bryce, love you, man. My other crew's still not here. So, guys, we're going to try to do this once or twice a month. I want you guys to check us out, 30 Frames a Second with Nat and I. We're talking about some in-depth conversations. We're on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock on Channel 34, Spectrum and Verizon. So, guys, remember this. Shoot for the moon. If you miss, guess what? You're still among the stars, baby. Thank you, man. Take us out,
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right.